Well, if you're watching this video, I apologize right off the jump. It's way too late right now. And the reason why is because I got called into work today, and I wasn't planning on working today, so by the time work was over, I was absolutely exhausted. So I was left with a decision. My decision would be to, A, just shoot you guys out a video that would probably be like 15 minutes, if that, saying, hey, I'm sorry, things have happened and I couldn't control them, so I am just going to put this out to you, and I promise I'll make it up to you in the Raw video tomorrow. But I was talking to AJ and trying to formulate the plans for this week, and we got a lot of things planned for the Popiversary this weekend. I will say right now that this was his decision. He was the one who gave me the reason to do this the way I'm doing it tonight. So this is Monday. It is not Tuesday. This is Monday's video. We're going to talk about tonight's Monday Night Raw, which I just finished. It's actually about 12:22 at this moment. So we're going to talk Raw tonight. I would normally go into housekeeping, but without any further ado, let's just go into Raw. And what an interesting ride we had on the Go Home show before Extreme Rules this Sunday. We were in St. Louis, Missouri, Randy Orton country, and of course he doesn't show up till the end of the show. So we started off the show with a steel cage surrounding the ring, of course hyping up what you would expect to be John Cena and Bray Wyatt, which is going to happen at Extreme Rules this Sunday. And sure enough, here comes John Cena to the ring. He's not sprinting, he's not saluting, and he's being booed out of the building by the crowd. And all he has to say when he lifts the mic up to his mouth is, why? Why? What did I do to make you think I deserved what happened to me last week? Fans start chanting, you suck. It happens. It happens a lot, actually. You were given a choice. The WWE Universe could either give me a fair fight, or they can make me defy the odds and try to fight against everybody. Insurmountable odds is what you put me through. Why? WWE Universe, they chose me to get no chance whatsoever. Forced into a 3-on-1 situation. Well, apparently John Cena watched The Dark Knight recently because he threw out his inner Aaron Eckhart and said, sometimes, you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become a villain. Times have changed. Superman using a Batman reference. That's hilarious. We've all changed with it. But through all of it, through the good times and the bad times, I've never abandoned you, WWE Universe. I've always put the WWE first and foremost. Why are you drawn to Bray Wyatt? You know what? Eventually, I'll have to step aside. And the fans are like, yeah, John Cena's gone. He's like, you know what? For those of you that said that, I get where you're coming from. You know what? I'll welcome it. I see the future, and I welcome that future. In names like Cesaro, and Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and even Daniel Bryan. He also says, I'm going to name some names you probably don't know about, like NXT superstars like Adrian Neville and Sami Zayn. See, Bray Wyatt, he's a dangerous man. Simply put, he's a mystery. He speaks motivation. John Cena has a passion for the WWE. Bray Wyatt, on the other hand, his passion is himself. If he escapes the cage on Sunday, his message of corruption and manipulation will escape with it. And eventually it's going to be Bray versus the world. And you know what? The world won't even have a chance. Lights out, get our interruption. You hear one single solitary voice singing He's Got the Whole World in His Hands. This ends up turning into what sounds like a chorus of voices. And sure enough, when the lights come back on, there is a children's choir on top of the ramp, clad in black robes, singing He's Got the Whole World in His Hands. Bray Wyatt is leading them to the ring, singing with them, with Luke Harper and Eric Rowan in tow behind him. It's quite a visual, to say the least. And if I had video right now, I would show you said visual. And then it just gets more eerie and more eerie. And of course, Bray's darkness is only lit up by his lantern. He's like, "Sing with me, children, little bitty babies." He sings the second stanza of the song, and they're all singing with him. So the Wyatt family are leading the children's chorus. Again, very freaky imagery. And then, of course, Bray has to turn it on John and says he's got the whole C Nation in his hands. And they sing along with him. They surround the ring like it's a lumberjack match. And then he has to deliver the final blow. He's got the big bad monster in his hands, talking about John Cena, the monster that the fans themselves created, at least in Bray's mind. Another wide interruption. I like to call the wide interruption that. It's called Monster, actually. It's funny because you see that in the WWE script that got out somehow a couple weeks ago. And the wide interruption, when the lights come back on, this time, every single one of the children are surrounding the ring that is enclosed with the steel cage, with John Cena just dumbfounded, staring at all of it, and every single one of them has the sheep mask on. And they're staring at John Cena. Like it's out of some sort of a Stanley Kubrick nightmare. It is freaky to say the least. And they're staring. And there's Bray Wyatt, rocking in his rocking chair with one child on his lap. And all he does is laugh. And he laughs, and he laughs, and he laughs throughout the entire rest of the segment as John Cena is just left in the center of the ring with his head in his hands. This was a very effective opening to Raw tonight. And I'll tell you what, it did a lot to give the pay-per-view a reason for people to tune in. I will say right now that if you were not planning to buy the pay-per-view and you don't have the WWE Network, you would run out and get it now, because if you're on the fence, this would put you over the top. This right here alone sells the pay-per-view as it is. I gotta get used to that special event line, because that's what's gonna be used from now on. Apparently, it's not gonna be called a pay-per-view anymore. But yeah, it was just an eerie, eerie sight to see John Cena's face. To see the expression on his face just change from hope to just all hope lost in just a split second when he saw every single one of those children, the impressionable youth, standing around the ringside area, and they were singing to John Cena in the name of Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family. This was an awesome way to start off the show, and if the show ended right there, if that was the last thing you saw on Raw, it would have been even better. But no, this just started Raw. But some might say that this actually gave the rest of the show way too much to live up to. What came to follow next would not be as powerful as the first segment. As we press on, I think Bray Wyatt and John Cena inside a steel cage on Sunday at Extreme Rules will be really entertaining. And I think that Bray gets his win that he should have gotten at WrestleMania against John Cena at Extreme Rules. That's what I truly believe is going to happen. So we get our first actual match of the evening. It is for the WWE Tag Team Championships. Jimmy and Jey Uso defending against the team of Curtis Axel and Ryback. You know what? I'll say right now, this match is normally a throwaway on SmackDown. These four brought their A game on Raw tonight. And let's talk about the match, shall we? So we go midway through the match, and by midway through the match, I mean after the first and only commercial break during the match. Ryback is on the middle rope, and he hits his falling splash on a Jimmy Uso. Now, before this happened, Usos took out Axel and Ryback with the Samoan suicide dive. But Jey Uso tweaked his ankle, or maybe messed up his hamstring, one of the two. So he was basically wrestling on one leg for this match. So when we come back to live action, like I said, Jimmy's in the ring eating the splash from Ryback, and Curtis Axel comes off the middle rope with a Bret Hart elbow, 1-2, and a kick out. So, whip in reverse, and ducks the head, and a kick, 1-2, and Jimmy kicks out. Ryback presses Jimmy Uso into an over-the-shoulder power slam, and that gets a 2 off that. Covers for a 2 again, and he goes for another deep cover, trying to steal the win, but yet to no avail. So a headbutt puts him on the buckle and tagging to Curtis Axel. Both men climb up, and they're going for a tandem superplex, and one by one they get knocked off the top. And this ends up leading to Curtis Axel getting front superplexed onto Ryback, who was knocked off courtesy of Jimmy Uso. So, tagging to Jay. Finally, Jay's in the ring. He goes up top, and what does he do on a bad leg? He hits a flying body press on Curtis Axel, 1-2, and a kick out. Big right hand twice, and he pounds away in the corner, and he catches the back kick. So, a big right hand to Ryback, and a Samoan drop to Curtis Axel, and the Rikishi special on Curtis Axel connects, 1-2, and a kick out. So, whip in and a tag. Backdrop driver, the snap variation by Curtis Axel, and Ryback nails the spine buster, 1-2, and a kick out. Charges in and eats the super kick, 1-2, and a kick out. 2 big chops, whip in reverse, beat up clothesline, drops the strap, setting up for the shell shock, and it gets countered into a sunset flip, 1-2, and a kick out. Ryback stops momentum with a knee and a club to the back, tagging to Curtis Axel. They hit the double whip, duck under the double whip, super kick, and unbeknownst to Curtis Axel, hot tag in, and Axel goes for the perfect plex to finish it off. Perfect plex, and he eats a Samoan splash off the top, 1-2-3, and the Usos retain the WWE Tag Team Championships. Really awesome way to kick off the show. A hot match, actually. Very enjoyable. And like I said, normally I give a lot to both of these teams being very stale. This match, like I said, they had their work boots on tonight, and it was really good. I very much enjoyed the match. I love the finish. It was a really hot finish. Crowd was definitely into it. I have no issues if this goes on again, and I think it very well might, because I think we're getting a rematch at Extreme Rules. Has not been announced yet, but I think we're going to get a rematch at Extreme Rules. So we get another promo for the Adam Rose experience, because it is officially coming to Raw the night after Extreme Rules. Next Monday night, a week from today, we're going to be seeing Adam Rose on Raw. Very excited about that, and really interested to see the big question mark, who's in the bunny suit? I guess we'll find out sooner rather than later. So, Paul Heyman comes out. Of course, Will's favorite segment of the day. No offense. Sorry, sir. And basically, he says that The Undertaker got under his skin, and look what happened to him. And he says he's not offended by what Rob Van Dam said. He's right. But there's one thing. I take my client to the top. So, we get our next match, and it starts with Sheamus coming out. Yay, the stale Sheamus, awesome. He gets attacked, blindsided by Titus O'Neil. I called this as a feud. We should be doing this a long time ago. You want to build Titus, you put him in a feud with Sheamus. He's had a couple matches against Sheamus, but we haven't really had a feud. So we build this, and Sheamus gets beaten to a pulp for a minute, and we're seeing a new side of Titus, a renewed vigor in him just beating the tar out of Sheamus. He whips him into the barricade twice, and he whips him into the ring post, and he tosses him in, hits the mounted punches, and the referee's backing him off, and seeing if Sheamus wants to even start the match, because the bell hasn't sounded yet. Sheamus calls for the bell, and he hits the knees in the corner, and he charges in, knees in the corner again. The referee just keeps stopping him. Every time Titus gets a little something in, referee's like, no, back off. Give Sheamus some breathing room. Okay. And it seems like third time is the charm, because when he tried to attack the third time, he ate a brogue kick, and that was the 3 count. So Sheamus wins. Yay! Sheamus wins again. So yeah, that pretty much went nowhere, but I will say that I really liked how Titus looked in this match. I really did. I mean, it was a short match, and I think they'll probably do a rematch on SmackDown if I had to guess, but I will say that it gives Titus a new direction, and if he's going to be a vicious killer, I like that idea. Kind of like what he did when he split with Darren Young. When the Primetime Players split up, we really thought that they were going to push Titus and Darren Young got injured, and now Titus is basically floundering away. I can't even say in the mid-card. He's kind of in the lower mid-card at this point, which is a shame, because Titus has a lot of talent, and I really like to see them utilize that. So another promo for Bo Dallas, and yes, I am Sir Owen Disney, and I am a Bo Lever. So yes, Bo Dallas will be returning to the WWE ring sooner rather than later, because obviously there is some things coming up in NXT for him that may or may not go his way. And if they don't go his way, he may have to come to WWE, because he may otherwise not have another place to go. So, we get Dolph Ziggler in the ring. No Zack Ryder. I thought this might actually be a chance to really do something with him. No. Dolph comes out, he says, you know what, this is my favorite time of the year. And basically he's putting over the fact that superheroes return to the big screen. Yeah, The Amazing Spider-Man comes out this Friday. Oh. You're not talking about Spider-Man. You're talking about 2 weeks later when X-Men Days of Future Past comes out. And he shows a clip for X-Men Days of Future Past. It's basically the trailer. And he brings out Hugh Jackman. So Jackman comes out looking like Magnus, more so than usual. And the music that he came out to was so generic that I'm pretty sure even Wade Barrett would say no to it. So, he said, it's good to be back on Raw, and he says, you know what, I've done some of the biggest shows, I've done the Oscars, I've done the Tonys, but this right here, you know, here anything can happen. And it always does. So Dolph has to be a party killer and say, you know, woo woo woo, you know it. Nice shout out to Zack Ryder there. This happened to me. Of course, not mentioning the elephant in the room was the fact that Hugh Jackman cold-cocked Dolph Ziggler during the match against Zack Ryder the last time that Jackman was on Raw. So they show the footage. And basically Jackman is like I was going to mention if you didn't. He's like, well, you know what? Jack Swagger kicks harder than that. That's a shoot. That was a shoot comment, folks. It really was. And he says, you know what? I got national exposure. You got a Raw moment, and if I'm going to get knocked out by someone, why don't I get knocked out with one of the biggest action stars on the planet? So they shake hands. He raises Dolph's hand. And it looked to me, for a second, just for a second, that Dolph was going to lay out Jackman and start this angry young man stable. And then I thought about, like I said, for a second. Because then I was snapped back to thinking, no, that's dumb, because number one, I'm sure Ryder's not in the building tonight, unless he was on Superstars, which he might have been. Numero uno, The Miz obviously is filming a movie right now, so he's not going to be a part of this. So, yeah. Plus, I also have to think of the third option was the fact that Damien Sandow and Dolph Ziggler have been having a Twitter war lately, so obviously that was not going to be the case. But it gave me that tinge of hope they were going to turn Dolph heel at this point. Nope, they didn't. Then one of the funniest things that I've seen in a long time, that, okay, for those of you that say, oh, and you know I have a sense of humor when it comes to professional wrestling, and I'm like, yeah, I do. And sometimes I hated the Hornswoggle stuff. I really do. I really like Hornswoggle now, but I mean, I'll come up with a name for him in a minute. We'll talk about him in a couple segments. But, I mean, I like the comedy stuff. It's stupid. But, you know, this, for some reason, it just, like, must have been the mood I was in. It just made me absolutely laugh out loud. And I literally mean laugh out loud. Because Damien Sandow comes out dressed as Magneto. And I don't know what WWE page or intern got Sandow a Magneto costume that was way too big for him. But kudos. This is what Sandra's for. She's a seamstress, so she could have seamed together, if that's even a word, a awesome Magneto costume for Damien Sandow. But I think this was about making fun of Sandow more than anything, and I'm pretty sure it was. So Sandow, as Magneto, says Dolph is starstruck. It's why he won't stop shaking. And of course, Sandow trips on his cape. Dolph calls him on it on the mic. He's like, this is not a joke. Yeah, Damien Sandow dressed as Magneto in the ring with Dolph Ziggler and Hugh Jackman is not a joke. Yeah, and well, I'm not going to continue the rest of that, but I will say, yeah, and I'm the King of England. I'm a sir, not a king. There's a difference. So, Wolverine, you're some kind of a mutant. He calls him Hugh, and then he basically says, no, Wolverine, you're some kind of a mutant. He's like, yeah, I guess. He's like, silence! Tonight you will meet the same fate. Fans start chanting, knock him out. Like, did you make your awesome costume? Like, really? Am I allowed to touch your cape? Jackman's getting off some one-liners here. Sandow, as Magneto says, behold the power of magnetism. You will not say another word. And of course, he says, you know what, this guy doesn't measure up to me. Magneto. He puts his hand towards Hugh Jackman, and Jackman's got the microphone. And then all of a sudden, he starts feigning like the microphone is going towards Magneto. And it's going towards Sandow, and Jackman and Dolph are like, no, it's actually working. And then it stops. Hugh grabs the mic away from him, and he says, no, it's not. Tosses the mic in the chest of Sandow, hits a hip toss, and walks into the zigzag, and Dolph Ziggler and Hugh Jackman celebrate. Third sore tonight. I'm telling you. Sometimes dumb comedy works for me. It does. I guess. Sometimes it just gotta catch me in the right day. And apparently it did, because I laughed my behind off during this match. No, segment. I don't know why this was... This should have been a match. I'm surprised it's not. I'm surprised this wasn't Dolph Ziggler versus Damien Sandow with Jackman in his corner. But then again, we've already done that. And we've already done that with Dolph Ziggler and Aaron Paul about a couple months ago to promote Need for Speed. So, obviously, I didn't want to go that direction. Interesting to see where we go with this. I think we get a Dolph Ziggler, Damien Sandow match. Of course, that's going to happen eventually. I think you do that match somewhere down the road. Dolph Ziggler with Hugh Jackman in his corner take on Damien Sandow somewhere down the line. I mean, I think at this point, Jackman will probably wrestle matches at some point. I don't know when. I don't know if it's only one time. I mean, come on. I mean, Jay Leno wrestled. Kevin Eubanks wrestled. Like, Kevin Eubanks did a good diamond cutter, too. But, I mean, come on. Hugh Jackman needs to wrestle at least once. You could have just done something right there and had Jackman just knock out Sandow, and then Sandow comes. Sandow needs to show up in character as Damien. Obviously, Damien Sandow, the gimmick, needs to show up at the red carpet of Days of Future Past and start something with Jackman. And then they get into a fight, and we build to a match between the two on a Raw. I think that needs to happen. I know what you're thinking. Oh, and you're dumb for thinking that. I was like, you know what? Honestly, if they're going to utilize celebrity, they might as well utilize celebrity. And Jackman can throw a pretty mean hip toss. So yeah, I mean, you might as well call him Hip Toss Jackman. So yeah, shout out Jock Sampson right there. So, we get our next match of the evening, rematch from SmackDown. It is Jack Swagger taking on Cesaro, and I like the match better on SmackDown. Paul Heyman comes out, and apparently he saw a meme that I saw on the internet today. Well, I know Will's not gonna like. He says, you know what? My kids think I'm jovial. They think I'm even funny. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna break character a little bit, and I'm gonna tell you guys a joke. And I'm pretty sure I heard this at the Monsters, Inc. Laugh Floor Comedy Club. Or a version of it. And he says, knock, knock. All the crowd chants, who's there? And he's like, Mike. Mike who? Mike Lyant. Brock Lesnar conquered The Undertaker's undefeated streak at WrestleMania. That would have been a brilliant line, Paul, if I didn't see it as a meme earlier this morning. But still, he's like, fine, I'll never mention the streak again. But I will mention that my client, Cesaro, did win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal at WrestleMania. So he brings out Cesaro. Match goes back and forth for just a little bit. Not long enough to really get started. Swagger ends up eating a German suplex, and Cesaro gets the pin off of it. Why? Because there's a distraction. The distraction is because Paul Heyman has attacked Zeb Coulter and he is grabbing his mustache. And it's because Zeb tripped Cesaro. I thought talking about Saw for a second there. And Zeb tripped Cesaro, and of course that led to Heyman's like, you know what? And he comes in and he grabs the mustache and he shakes onto it. And this led to the distraction, and that's the end. Didn't really get going. This definitely will be at Extreme Rules now. Not as its own. I think it will be at Extreme Rules, not as a singles match. I think it's going to end up being a three-way dance with Rob Van Dam. And that was set up, all the wheels in motion were set up during, later on in the show. So, we get Renee tries to talk to John Cena. Nothing. Doesn't say anything. He silent bobs it. We see Kane's mask in a case. Nothing. Get our next match of the evening. It is Alberto Del Rio taking on Cody Rhodes, of course, with Goldust in his corner. And we go midway through this match. It was also rather short. Chinlock, and a really unique way to break up a chinlock. He stomps on the foot of Del Rio. And he tries to catch him with a backdrop. You don't backdrop Cody Rhodes just like you don't powerbomb Billy Kidman. Don't backdrop Cody Rhodes, because what happens? He lands up behind you and lands on his feet, of course. Drop kick to Del Rio, and he ducks the clothesline, and Del Rio catches him off the ropes with a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker, 1-2, and a kick out. A kick to the back, 1-2, and a kick out, and he goes back to the chin lock, and Cody counters with an arm drag, and boot in, drop uppercut, goes for the Holly kick, and he goes for a springboard, probably the missile drop kick, gets caught with a gut shot, and big right hand, straight kick from Del Rio, cross arm breaker, Cody has to tap out. Goldust goes to check on Cody, and he gets shoved away. So again, we're continuing the de-evolution, and I just said that on purpose, of Cody Rhodes and Goldust partnership, if you will. So yeah, we're definitely going to see the Brotherhood split completely soon. I think that we're going to end up getting some sort of a turn from Cody very soon. I did call him in Evolution, and I said that to a couple people actually, but I don't know. I mean, it could go that direction. I think it really easily could go in that direction. There's a lot of reasons why it could go in that direction, but I'm not exactly sure if you're going to go in that direction or not. But yeah, we're definitely going to see Cody and Goldust feud leading up to, I think it won't go to SummerSlam. I think it might, I don't know if it might go to Money in the Bank. I don't know, potentially. Maybe Cody and Goldust face off at Money in the Bank. There you go. That's fine. That's July. That'll work. So, Paul Heyman's talking to Cesaro in the back. Once again, we see the case, and Kane's mask is still inside. Gee, I wonder what's going to happen the next time we see the case. So, we get our next match of the evening, and of course, that brings out the lovely, ravishing Lana. And of course, she brings out Alexander Rusev in a match up against Xavier Woods, because Woods and R-Truth are doing the 2-on-1 handicap match with Rusev at Extreme Rules on Sunday. Woods tries to get the upper hand, and he gets stopped with the high crotch swing side slam, and that's the end. Stomps him in the back, goes to lock on the Accolade, and Truth attacks. And he low bridges Rusev. He goes over the top to the floor. Xavier Woods with a drop kick off the ring apron, and of course doesn't do anything. Truth whips Woods in with a drop kick, finally knocks the Bulgarian Brute off the ring apron, and that's the end. Okay. Rusev wins by DQ, by the way. Rusev really hasn't connected yet in WWE. The crowd obviously loved Lana in lots of ways, especially the men in the crowd. But when it comes down to it, yeah, Rusev really has not connected with the WWE Universe like he could. They're not doing anything with him. They put over his appearance in the Rumble, and they talk about his NXT past, but they don't do enough to let the fans that don't watch NXT on a regular basis know exactly what Rusev is capable of. And just the fact that Rusev and Woods have been feuding basically for 6 months at NXT, and now this is finally on the main roster. This match could be a whole lot better than it probably will be on Sunday. That's no offense to anyone involved, I just don't think they're going to book this match to be even. I think it's going to end up being a 2-on-1 squash match. So we get Renee in the back with Rob Van Dam. He says, you know what, I'm the 6-time Intercontinental Champion, and Barrett likes to deliver bad news, well, he'll receive some. Zeb Coulter shows up. He's like, you know what, we have a common enemy in Paul Heyman. Why don't we band together and get rid of this problem? He's like, you know what, thanks, but yeah, I have a mind of my own. And he says, I'm going to continue being RVD. And of course he points to himself like he always does. Thanks anyway. That's going to come back and bite him later on. We get our next match of the evening. It is Los Matadores taking on 3MB, of course. Los Matadores accompanied the ring by El Torito, and 3MB are accompanied the ring this time by Jinder Mahal, who is not wrestling because it's Heath Slater and Drew McIntyre in the match, and Hornswoggle, which I still don't know what to call him. I thought about calling him Rockstar Dylan, but the problem with that is people were going to say, it's like, it's ripping off TNA even more, and I was like, no. So, I mean, but yeah, I'll think of another name to call him, I don't know. So, apparently, there's an announcement, there is going to be our first ever WeLC match. Okay. What I think a WeLC match is going to be probably very stereotypical and very derogatory. I think I see mini ladders, mini tables, maybe even Fisher-Price tables, potentially, and mini plastic chairs. And I don't know what the object of a WeLC match is. Obviously, it's not grabbing a championship, so I guess it's just pinfall? Sure. So apparently that's going to happen, and this is basically has making Los Matadores and 3MB take a backseat to this feud between El Torito and Hornswoggle. So let's go to the end of the match. There's not much to talk about. Heath Slater wins. Heath Slater hits the smash hit, which is the implant DDT, and gets a 3 count. That's awesome. Heath Slater wins. Torito plancha to 3MB, leaves him laying. Yeah, there was nothing about this match. Furthermore, telling me that WWE has nothing in planned for the tag team division anytime soon. I mean, there was a great time in the tag team division. You split the primetime players, and you're about to split Brotherhood, and of course, you're having matches with the Usos and Ryback and Curtis Axel because there's no other matches. And you have Los Matadores and 3MB in a feud against each other, not even thinking about the tag team titles. So yeah, the tag team division has gone downhill. And Connor and Victor, the Ascension, the NXT tag team champions, yeah, I don't know when they're going to be brought up. Hopefully soon, because they really need to be brought up to the division. Since they worked really well with the Usos during the 6-man tag match with Sami Zayn against Corey Graves and the Ascension at NXT last week, I talked about last Thursday night. Stephanie comes out, of course, it's going to be her big explanation, her big apology to Daniel Bryan and Brie, of course. She says a senseless tragedy happened last week. Please come out, and I need you to accept my apology. So Daniel Bryan comes out wearing a neck brace. Brie is out in a yes hoodie. She's chanting yes because Bryan, of course, can't move his neck because they're selling the fact he got tombstoned numerous times last week. Stephanie, I almost believed you. You know, you truly wanted Kane to stop, but everyone knows you're full of crap. Steph's like, you know what, okay, I heard that. I don't blame you. I don't blame you for being mad. I need you to understand something. We never wanted you to be the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. We went to great lengths to stop you every single time. So Bryan, of course, has to throw out the caveat. You know what, how did you think my wife felt when Triple H put my head in the water and said drown him? She's like, you know what? You proved us wrong. You really did. I wanted to give you a credible opponent, so I tried to build my COO up and give him a backbone, but it backfired in every single way possible. Brie, I know how you feel. I've watched Hunter numerous times leave the ring on stretchers. I've been in those hospital rooms. I know how it goes. And for all of that, I'm sorry. I apologize for everything. All you both have went through. Bryan says, you know what? I still think you're full of crap. His emotion hasn't changed this entire time. So Stephanie's like, you know what? Come to this ring. Well, that's a red flag right there. Look me in the eye to see if I could convince you otherwise. She's like, standing there. Bryan thinks about it for a millisecond. He's like, you know what? I still will see a liar. King could come out at the snap of your fingers. I have never once given up. I'm cleared to compete on Sunday, and I won't give up then. I promise you, if he's going to take me down, I'm taking him down right with me, straight to hell. So Stephanie says the mask is locked in my office. And I have no idea where Kane is. Sure. So Brie, you can compete tonight. You can compete against Paige with the Divas Championship on the line. And that match is right now. So we get our next match of the evening, apparently. which ends up being Brie. I don't know. I guess we're just gonna call her Brie. You call her Brie Bryan, call her Brie Danielson. I don't know. She's just Brie. That's all she was. She wasn't called a Bella Twin. She was Brie. She's facing off against the Divas champion Paige. Now, this match was really interesting because I really think that it's shown that these two could have an interesting match in the future. Paige was more of the aggressor in this match, obviously, because she wanted to keep the championship. And she hit her repeated knee strikes while Brie was across the ropes, and it gets stopped, and she hits the running knee against the ropes, and she goes for Brie mode off the middle turnbuckle. She gets stopped with a forearm. Paige climbs up, hits the superplex. Kane's pyro hits. So, of course, the last time that we saw the mask, it wasn't there. It wasn't in the case. So what's that going to mean? Bryan's at the ready, standing at the top of the ramp. What does Kane do? Speaking of TNA, he pulls an Abyss. And he climbs through the ring, and he tries to drag Brie down to hell with him. So Bryan kicks away, gets swatted off, and then Bryan starts punching away, again gets swatted off. This time, so much ferocity gets knocked to the floor. Kane backs Brie up, drags her into the hole, and Bryan grabs a wrench and nails Kane right in the face. Kane sets up, choke slams Daniel Bryan, still wearing the collar around his neck, the neck brace, and again, Brie ends up getting dragged towards the hole. And kicked away, Brie scurries to the floor and checks on Bryan. And when they're about to leave, Kane's pyro hits again, and Kane's in the center of the ring laughing. Okay. So, yeah, Brie and Paige had an okay match for what it was. I'd like to see this a lot down the road. I'd like to see this match progress. I'd like to see it actually happen, a real match between these two, because I think it'd be really good. I will say right now that you have to build Kane as a credible challenger, and what he did on Raw last Monday night actually worked really well. And, of course, him left standing and laughing. Obviously, there's no doubt in anyone's mind Bryan's retaining on Sunday. But I will say that it was interesting, the fact that he tried to drag Brie straight to hell, and yeah, that was pretty much it. So yeah, more heat on the fire between Kane and Daniel Bryan. Stephanie shows up in the trainer's room. Brie's, of course, left with a shocked look on her face. Bryan's just standing there staring, because of course he can't move his neck. He says, "I will be at Extreme Rules. You will regret dragging my wife into this." And Brie, of course, stops Stephanie dead in her tracks and says, "Get out, you bitch!" And Stephanie leaves. So, of course, we're building towards it. We're building towards Stephanie getting back in the ring against Brie. It will happen. And then, of course, it will lead to a mixed tag team match with Bryan and Brie against Triple H and Stephanie. After this feud with Evolution and The Shield, I think that actually will probably be the case. I guarantee it will. I do like the fact that with Hunter working with the Evolution storyline right now, he's distanced himself away from the corporate stuff, which means Stephanie is left alone to do her own bidding, and I think that actually works pretty well. So, John Cena shows up, and he's ready to talk this time. And he apologizes to Renee for basically blowing her off the first time. And he says that, you know, I thought the universe turned their back on me. I was wrong. Fans start booing. Interesting. They haven't turned their back on me. On this Sunday, the mind games will stop. I've got special plans. He talks about a donkey, and I don't care about that crap. It's comic scene, not needed in the storyline. This Sunday, my fist will be in his face, and my foot will be in his ass. Because it's the John Cena way. So yeah, more fuel on the fire between John Cena and Bray Wyatt. Not as much as you could. I don't think Comedic Cena needs to be anywhere near this feud with Bray Wyatt. And they've already used it once, and now they use it again tonight. So yeah, that wasn't a good idea, honestly. We get our tournament final for the Intercontinental title #1 contendership, and it is Wade Barrett taking on Rob Van Dam. Wade Barrett, of course, gets his Bad News Barrett segment and his ginormous podium high above everyone, and he says, the WWE's slogan is then, now, forever. Rob Van Dam's slogan is then, because that was the last time he was relevant. Thought that was funny. And he says that Rob will try to win, but at the end of the night, only one thing comes to mind, and that's B and B. So yeah, Wade Barrett is gold, as he always is, and this match was good. I very much enjoyed it. Chinlock, again, by Barrett. Van Dam elbows his way out, whip in reverse, and of course, backdrop, lands on his feet, and he gets caught off the ropes. Winds of change, 1-2, and Van Dam kicks out. Barrett goes to the middle turnbuckle, hits the elbow, 1-2, and a kick out, and the foot choke in the corner, and swing neckbreaker, 1-2, Van Dam kicks out. Chinlock into an inverted surfboard with the knee firmly planted in the lower back, and turned back around into a chinlock. Again, Van Dam elbows out, comes off the ropes, and he goes for the knee, and he gets rolled up, 1-2, and a kick out. Savate kick, and he goes for Rolling Thunder, but Barrett gets up on his feet, and he gets mowed over with a clothesline, and Van Dam hits another clothesline, and the boot by Barrett is caught, step over spin kick, and Cesaro jumps up on the ring apron for a distraction. Jack Swagger comes out, he pulls him off, and he gets sent into the barricade. Barrett readies the bull hammer, Van Dam ducks it, spin kick, Rolling Thunder, goes up top, Cesaro goes to attack, Van Dam kicks him off, and he goes for the 5-star. It connects with the knees of Wade Barrett. Bull hammer takes Van Dam's head off, and the best one I've seen yet, and he gets the 3 count, and Wade Barrett is definitely, just like I predicted, going on to Extreme Rules this Sunday to dethrone Big E for the Intercontinental Championship. And I believe after this, what you do, honestly, send Big E back down to NXT for a little bit and let him build back some of the stars in NXT. Let him work with Brodus Clay. I think Big E and Brodus Clay would be a good match in NXT, honestly. Let him work with Bo Dallas again. And I mention that because Big E does go back to NXT, and he does work with Bo Dallas again, and the thing I talked about earlier in several segments ago, yeah, that's the reason why I think Bo Dallas may be coming to the roster sooner rather than later. So, this of course wasn't the end of this. Cesaro comes in, and he stomps Rob Van Dam, crowd's not liking this, and the double stomp, Swagger comes in, it says Jack Attack on my notes, I thought that was funny. Gut wrench powerbomb on Cesaro, and he nails Van Dam, and he gets, of course, another thing you don't do with Rob Van Dam, you don't try to ram his head in the turnbuckle, because he'll kick you in the face, and that's exactly what he did. He hit the springboard side kick on Swagger, and he goes up top, 5-star frog splash on Cesaro, and looks like we have completely built this match, and I'm sure on SmackDown on Friday night, it will be officially announced Cesaro, Rob Van Dam, and Jack Swagger in a match that I think may end up being for, I would say, #1 contendership, but the thing is, you just crowned a #1 contender. But in essence, you didn't crown a #1 contender, you just crowned the person that's going to be winning the tournament to face off against Big E. So, it's not going to be a contendership match. It might be, but I doubt it, because that's pretty much overkill when it comes to a contendership. I say that you do that as a 3-way, and that person who wins has a justified reason to face off against Wade Barrett for the Intercontinental Championship this Monday on Raw. Because I know Big E's losing on Sunday. I don't see any way around it. So, we get the Shield in the back. Ambrose says, the clock is ticking, Evolution has passed you by. Seth Rollins says, you know what, Evolution is about control. It's about power. This fist is power. The new symbol of excellence. This, not this. That's basically what is trying to be said. Reverse that. Orton, you look like the past. And the fist, this is today, tomorrow, and the future. Believe that, believe in the Shield. So we get our main event, and it's going to be Roman Reigns against Randy Orton in St. Louis, mind you. And we find out that there is going to be a 3-on-1 handicap match for the United States Championship. Dean Ambrose defending against Alberto Del Rio, Curtis Axel, and Ryback on SmackDown. So it'll be interesting to see how Ambrose retains on Friday. I think what ends up happening is they all try to beat Ambrose, and Ambrose basically just like gets Ryback and Axel out of their wing, and he ends up surprising Del Rio and gets the win that way. Somehow basically splitting the 3 of them up so he can get the win out of nowhere. And then, of course, Triple H has to find out another way to get the title off Ambrose. So, of course, before the match starts, we have a promo, because Triple H couldn't talk last week because of his potential laryngitis, so he's going to talk this week. He says, "The Shield took out 11 guys on SmackDown. You expect me to be mad about that?" Nope, I'm impressed. The Shield's starting to remind me of somebody, you know? It's starting to remind me of us. See, there's only one problem, though. Evolution is still here, and they will never be us. And Triple H, of course, plays the proud parent. Says, "You know what, I brought you into this world, and I'll take you out of it. But the three of us will take you out of it. You either adapt or you perish." Ric Flair finally shows up. Finally. We waited all night for this. To applause from Orton, Hunter, and Batista. He hugs all three of them. He says, "I'm surrounded by superstars that exemplify power, style, and grace." I said this on Twitter. If you're following me, you would know this. I'm talking about the Shield. He shakes hands with Rollins, Ambrose, and Reigns, and he leaves. Like I said on Twitter, the Shield being mentored by Ric Flair against Evolution, I actually have no problems with this whatsoever. So we get this match, and I didn't think this match was going to go long, and it couldn't, because obviously we were way after the top of the hour at this point. Three big right hands, headbutt, and Orton responds with one of his own. Tosses Reigns to the floor, boot in, and he goes for a suplex on the floor, blocked. Suplex again, gets a little higher this time, more of a vertical, blocked again, and the third time is the charm. Orton ends up getting suplex on the floor by Roman Reigns. Roman rolls in, breaks the count, tosses him back in, whip in reverse, and Roman goes hard into the ring steps when he gets back out. And he sends him face first into the ring steps. They toss him back in, makes a cover, Reigns kicks out before even a 1. That's power, folks. Chinlock, and of course Roman punches his way out, and whip in reverse. Orton clotheslines Roman Reigns over the top rope to the floor, and he goes for the snakebite DDT, gets countered, and that's stopped. Whip in and a exploding clothesline out of the corner. Whip in reverse, ducks the clothesline, and a leaping clothesline from Roman Reigns. Charging clothesline, big right hand, drops Randy Orton across the bottom rope, and of course we know what happens there. Roman goes to the floor, hits the leaping dropkick to the side of the head, and Triple H runs in to trip Roman Reigns. Batista's on the ring apron to grab the referee's attention, so while the referee's attention is diverted, Triple H is doing the dirty work on the floor. And Orton nails the 3.0 backbreaker. Triple H and Batista end up brawling with Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins on the floor. Ambrose gets tossed across the announce table, and a Superman punch in the ring on Randy Orton. Roman Reigns comes out. They brawl with Batista and Orton. And Rollins gets tossed in the barricade. Referee's sending this out, by the way. Triple H and Batista whip Roman in the steps. Batista with a spine buster on Ambrose on the floor. Toss in the ring. Pedigree to Ambrose. Ends up stopped by Seth Rollins' springboard knee strike. And Ambrose tosses Randy Orton for the Shield to get the advantage. And Triple H ends up getting speared. They're going for the Cerberus bomb, and of course, Orton and Batista grab steel chairs, stand on the ring apron, and they go to attack. They get the chairs, Van Damme style drop kicked into their face, and the Shield stand tall to end Raw this week. So yeah, that was an interesting show, actually. What will we gain from this? Interesting to see where we get for the Extreme Rules. Nice show. What I recommend for this week, definitely, without a doubt, above everything else, definitely check out the opening of Raw, the Bray Wyatt leading the children's chorus against John Cena. It's just chilling in the best possible way. I don't say this very often, so I'm actually going to say this and mean it. Check out the Usos against Ryback and Curtis Axel. It was a really good match. I very much enjoyed that match. If you want to check, honestly, I will say right now, the comedic side of me definitely says check out the segment with Hugh Jackman, Dolph Ziggler, and Magneto, Damian Sandow. It was just funny. I'm sorry. Other than that, definitely check out the Stephanie apology, if you will, leading to Kane trying to drag Brie to hell. And, I would also recommend Brie and Paige actually wasn't bad for the short bit that it was. It was okay. And definitely check out Wade Barrett and Rob Van Dam. It was good. And Roman and Randy Orton, it was alright. And the Aftermath worked for me. So yeah, that was Raw this week. And we will be talking SmackDown on Saturday, it looks like. I think it's going to be. I'm pretty sure. Only thing that would change that would be scheduling errors. We'll find out if that's going to be the case soon enough. And, of course, this is your Monday video, as it is now officially Monday for no time. So, yes. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and we will talk wrestling again. Of course, we'll be talking SmackDown and NXT later this week, and we're going to talk Extreme Rules this Sunday, because Extreme Rules will be this Sunday, and I'm looking forward to it. This should be a really awesome show, and the card will probably be completely fleshed out this Friday on SmackDown. So in the meantime, if you like these videos, tell your friends about them, leave a comment, do subscribe, and help spread the word about Pop. If you'd like our Facebook fan page, you're more than welcome to. It is Sir Owen Disney Pop. If you'd like to maybe friend me on Facebook, simple as that. It's Owen Disney. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter, it's at Sir Owen Disney. Last but certainly not least, you want to send your thoughts, comments, queries, and opinions. You want to talk wrestling with me? You want to talk about Disney with me, Universal, Halloween Horror Nights? You want to talk movies with me? More than welcome to send me an email, or if you would like to be a popcaster yourself, send your videos to SirOwenDisney@gmail.com. In the meantime, I want to thank you guys and girls out there for watching this evening, and until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all I gotta say about that.